over a period of time, the finance sector has really embraced AI, machine learning techniques, and data science in different aspects of the industry, right? So the applications are, you cannot hear. Okay, so all right, so the finance sector has embraced AI and data science, as well as machine learning techniques to make work easier or make life easier generally in the finance sector for their customers, right? So banks, financial institutions like Paystack, Flutterwave, and the likes, those are the ones that are examples of financial institutions. We also have credit companies as well, like Rent Money, who give out loans to customers, right? So some of those businesses, specifically those outside the country, have embraced or leveraged AI in one aspect or the other. So we'll be talking about use cases and how you can also come into the space, and how you can come into the space, and how you can build product solutions, AI solutions that can help those businesses grow as well as influence their businesses. So amongst majority of techniques that exist, some of the most popular
Your voice.
Okay. Sorry. All right. I'm not really used to talking very loud. So, can you hear me now? All right. So, I previously talked about the few areas where AI and data science and as well as machine learning techniques have been accepted or leveraged in the finance sector. Some of them are use cases, and some of them are using natural language processing. Some of them are sentiment analysis, predictive analysis. We'll run through them as we go on. Alright, so an example is identity verification in banks, ATMs, mobile apps, in ATM machines, and as well as in banking apps. Specifically, use cases is Standard Chartered Bank. And they have some of the ATMs back in Lekki they leverage facial recognition to be sure that this person performing this transaction or this person making a debit from their ATM is the actual owner of the card. So what they do is they match the person's identity, your face, as well as the details on your card. They match both and to be sure that yes, this person actually is the one performing this transaction, so that in case when people come back later and say and make claims saying that, oh, I didn't actually do this transaction, or it was not me, someone took my card, they have record of all of that. You may not know. For some people, usually when you get to the ATM, specifically Standard Chartered, when you get there and you're wearing a face cap, the machine will tell you take off your card, take off your card, or they need to see your face, right? So the whole point is they're trying to make sure that people, transactions, debits, withdrawals are safe and they're actually carried out by the people who owns the card or who actually have the right authorization to make those transactions. That's one way banks have leveraged AI. Like I said, they correlate the person's face and their identity to their debit card information to be sure that you are the owner of this card and you're the one actually making this withdrawal. That way, everyone is safe. They themselves can say that, oh yes, we have a record of this transaction that happened in case people come back to make claims and file for chargebacks. That's one example. Then credit scoring purposes, specifically microfinance, I'll touch more on that. Microfinance institutions who give out loans to their customers or people generally, customers generally. So usually in order to serve more customers, because we realize that some customers, like most of the people you see in the marketplaces, right, businessmen and businesswomen, they have good banking history, right? They have all of that, but sometimes the banks will still refuse them loans for one reason or the other. They will say they don't know their credit history. They are not sure if this person can repay back that loan. But then to be sure that to to prove the trustworthiness of this person and to be sure that this person is not a high-risk person, banks could leverage other alternative source of data like social media, like as communication data and transactional data, and create a credit scoring system that scores this person and says that, okay, based on what we've seen so far, based on what the data point that has been picked, analyzed over the period of time, we can say that this person has the potential of repaying back a loan. In fact, as regards credit scoring again, so like we said, after the MFI has identified that this person is able to repay back my loan, apart from, they can now see that, okay, this person is a high-risk individual, this person is a low-risk individual. Despite this person not having, or not even being a bank, not even having a bank account with my bank, we can still give them loans. So it's not just restricted to just the people in their banks. That way they can cater to as many customers as possible in different places. Both the ones that have credit score already, the ones that do not have a credit history already. They can create and generate all of that for them. This is a service that can actually be sold to credit institutions. Like I said, Brain Money is an example of that. We have Quick Loan, we have GT Bank giving out loans using Quick Loan. Then we have a couple for Standard Chartered Bank as well. So that's one of the applications of data science in credit scoring or credit scoring purposes. Generally, the widely used application of data science, machine learning techniques has been in customer service. I'm sure some of us have seen where some of us know about chatbots, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like UBA, for example, one of those times I had to like create a UBA account, just a random account. After then, I could I did a transfer from one of my banking apps to the UBA account just for test purposes. Then from their chatbot, they have a Facebook bot. I'll just go there. It's called Leo. From the Leo bot, I could just okay, how much do I have remaining? So as pointed out, chatbots can help these businesses. Instead of me having to walk back to the UBA center, because I don't have the UBA app for some reasons, I don't have the UBA app. So instead of me having to like go to any of the centers and say, okay, I want to check out my account history, I want to check out my account balance, I could just, the UBA bot can help me with all of that. In fact, even if let's say I'm a new person in a new location, I'm trying to figure out, okay, where are the UBA banks around here? I could just use the Leo app directly from Facebook and just chat to them, tell Leo, where are the ATMs, where are the UBA ATMs around in a new location? That's a use case for, that's a chatbot use case that helps the bank, because the bank is not always open 24/7, specifically over the weekend, right? And I'm in a new location. I could also just ask Leo, where can I get an ATM here? Where can I get an ATM in this new center? Those are some of the tasks or some of the processes that have been automated using in the customer service center. So like we said, you can just run the chatbot can provide series of services to people, specifically like I said, over the weekends when the bank are not open, right? You could go to a chatbot and get account information. In fact, in some companies, like Wells Fargo, they have a chatbot that not only provides information. In fact, they made it more advanced such that the chatbot can even suggest how you can save money. Like the chatbot can look at, okay, you've done a transfer to this person, you've made this transfer, you bought something online. Chatbot can then start suggesting, okay, guys, because over the period of time, this is the history of the kind of transaction you perform. Chatbot can start telling you, okay, why don't you save money this way? Why don't you invest in this new opportunity, right? Then if you have issues with your account as well, chatbot can help you run all of that instead of having to go to an ATM. In fact, sometimes when maybe your debit card gets misplaced or your phone you misplace your phone, and these days Nigerians are really smart. They can get your banking information. They can even make a transfer right from just from your SIM card. But then, say you misplace your SIM card over the weekend, and there's no way to block transactions from flowing. A chatbot using a bank, if your bank has a chatbot, it would have been easier for you to just like, and you have that service in place, right? Just get the chatbot and tell the bot, okay, I've just lost my phone. This is my account. Can you block transactions from? Can you block withdrawals? Say you lost your ATM. Can you block withdrawals or can you block transactions from my phone from my account for this period of time? Those are tasks or services that banks and financial institutions will have seamlessly provided for their customers to make banking easier for everybody. So digitizing paper documents. In fact, that's one. Okay, wealth management. All right. So we have investors, stockbrokers. So how many of us have shares or an investment anywhere? Okay. All right. All right. So I'll encourage us to buy. In fact, I'm not a banker. I don't work for any of the banks. But it's that easier for your bank to tell you, okay, we have this new portfolio. Can you buy? Let's say the CSS, like 5,000 naira investment opportunities are available these days. A bank would have been the ones to just suggest all of that. That's one of the things, the angle, the areas where AI would have been, the banks, Nigerian banks, have been able to leverage AI, data science to sell more products to you, to offer more services to you instead of just having lots of people, right, who are not buying their portfolios. Well, maybe because, who knows, maybe we are not their customers anyway. That's why. So, but then, when it comes to wealth management, usually, or in more advanced countries, what they will do is, let's say, this company recently folded up, or this company recently got acquired, or this company recently got a massive investment. And you know, definitely on the internet, people will be talking about, oh, this is, in fact, an example is Andela, right? Andela recently laid off most of their junior devs. But then, coming back to wealth management, if Andela had gotten it was like an investment that Andela recently got, or if Andela was recently acquired by a company. Now, what AI would have helped people or wealth managers, stockbrokers do is now scrape the web, see sentiment, and see what people are talking about, the new funds that has been raised, or see what people are talking about. How people are saying, oh, maybe this could be the right time. There are different things people say on social media, right? One person could be like, oh, I'd really love to buy stock. This is the right time to actually buy this company's stock because they are going IPO, right? You know, people talk a lot on social media. Now, this in wealth management, the stock you can actually build a system for them that helps them outside scraping sentiment about new customers, about new companies, or scraping sentiment about acquisitions, about investments, about IPOs. Guess what people are saying about it, and then around that, and then build a system that helps analyze those sentiments and then provide insights to customers, to new people, and tell them, oh, okay, we understand that there's a new acquisition. This company has recently been acquired. Why don't we just buy stocks, right? That's where the bank would have come in. That's where other financial institutions have. That's where AI would have helped this bank to get more customers. Imagine your bank is telling you, oh, guy, this is what you can invest in this opportunity. The bank is coming to you personally because these days you see that banks just put out this information and nobody cares about it. But then when it comes to personalizing, this kind of services would have been more personalized because the bank knows you, knows your capabilities, knows how much you deposit, knows how much you withdraw, knows how much you don't have in the account. They can now suggest and tell you, okay, this is a new opportunity for you to increase your source of alternative income for you, guys, right? Why don't you invest in this new opportunity and at least so that in the long run you know you're having another source of alternative income. This would have been a great avenue for the banks to actually get more customers and increase, help as get more, not only get more customers, but also help their customers. In fact, tailor the right services, the right products to their customers. Then, takes me back to digitizing paper documents. We all know that usually when you want to create an account, or when you want to create an account with First Bank today, they're going to give you a form. You're going to fill the form, submit it. If you want to create an account, in fact, let's even just stay with First Bank. Now, you've created the account with First Bank. Now you want to come to First Bank and maybe collect a loan or apply for a different service, or let's even say you want to get your ATM, you want to get ATM card. You still have to fill paper forms. Do you understand? You still have to fill paper forms. So banks and many companies, not just financial institutions, have lots of paper documents. Then when at the point where they have to maybe like search through the documents to find specific information, it becomes really, really difficult. Why can't we help them digitize this whole process? Instead of taking just paper documents and having like cabinets of files and documents of people, we can help them digitize this process, right? Create like a OCR system that captures each of this information, stores it, and eventually like create a search bar right on it, such that if they need to just search for specific thing about this customer, it becomes a lot easier for them, and paper is eliminated in that sector. Yeah. So in fraud detection, okay. So in fact, let's say something happened during the week. One of my colleagues was trying to get a loan from Red Money. So what he did was he filled the form on the Red Money website. They asked for his date of birth. They asked for other details, but the ones that caught my attention was his date of birth and how much he currently earns, right? Because they have to give him a loan. After putting in how much he earns, he mistakenly typed 2 million naira monthly, and this person is, let's say, is about 22 years old, right? And he mistakenly typed 2 million naira. In the Nigerian context, of course, that's outrageous. That doesn't make any sense. How would you be earning 2 million naira as a 22-year-old person? Doesn't make sense. But then, of course, these days it happens. If you're earning in dollars, but here we are talking about naira. So the Red Money people called it immediately and told him, like, guy, you understand, we see that what's happening here, you are 22 years old and you said you are earning 2 million naira. How is that possible? He was like, no, he earns 200,000 naira. You see, the whole point is the system, they've been able to like understand that this age, there's something wrong. Thank you. They've been able to understand that there's something wrong with this thing. You cannot be 22 and be earning 2 million naira. Guy, what is happening? Do you understand? To them, they flagged it for in their own system. In the Nigerian context first, right? The people do not believe that first you can be 20 years old and be earning that high.
Based on that,
I don't believe that because our education system is bad.
That's a different conversation.
Hold on. You know what is trying to like lie, yes, but what I'm trying to say is that you said in the Nigerian context, do you understand? So when you hear earning
so,
you understand?
So, but the point I'm trying to draw out from here, I understand in the real sense, like I said, if you're earning in dollars, you can earn more than 2 million naira money. It's possible. It is possible. Like as I said that before. But then don't forget that those people, they put in place systems such that it looks at your age and how much you say earn. It has made like a correlation there and says that the system has already set like a baseline for people within this. It's like a profiling. It's like a profile view. If you are this age, you should not be in this. It means that maybe you want to scam us, you want to take excess loan that you cannot pay back. Then they looked at also how much loan is this person trying to take. If you are taking this kind of, if you are taking a loan of 650,000 naira, and you say you earn 2 million monthly, and you're 22 years old. What's like?
There's no correlation.
Doesn't make any sense.
That's what I'm
The
saying.
system, don't forget, the system has already set baseline as well. Like, guy, you cannot be this thing based on the data point that they've gathered and how they built it. You can, that request is already more than the baseline that they've set. That's just a one scenario. But then the underlying message here is fraud detection. You're like, guy, this does not make sense. Maybe you want to scam us. And this is Nigeria. Things happen, right? So, brings me back to the topic of discussion. Like I said, fraud detection. Like Raymond is an example. Banks, MFIs, payment processors, right? They could easily put up predictive analytics, put predictive analytics in place that helps to identify and prevent fraudulent transactions. Like that Raymond scenario, it may not, the guy, it was just a mistake on his part, but then it's not justifiable. You don't say you want to make a mistake to put money, doesn't happen anyway. To them, they put their own system in place. If it's not fine by you, it's not fine by you. If they are giving you their money, so there's no mistake in this place. You cannot tell them, oh guy, I made a mistake. In fact, the long and short of the story is they did not give him that loan. They did not give him. They told him wait for 3 months, come back. Because if you say you have, so if you make 2 million now, you shouldn't be needing 650 loan over this period of time. Say you want to pay back, it doesn't make any sense. But then for them, they've been able to like put systems in place to ensure that they do not become part of any fraudulent transaction. They do not they do not allow fraudulent transactions. They do not let people. They even try to like protect themselves and prevent themselves from fraud. That's one. Then in the case of the banks could look at how much you make over time, how much, banks have like a baseline of their customers. They have different levels of tiers of customers. Let me put it that way. They have customers who, for example, most of their transactions, like 80% of their transactions have not been over 200,000 naira, some 500,000 naira, and some different tiers. Banks have different tiers of customers, right? So once they could look at your spending habit and see, okay, this is how much comes into your account every month. This is how much you spend, and if you are the type that buys stuff online or you use solely digital methods to pay for your services, you don't really do cash like that. You want to buy your food items, you only do transfers. You want to pay your rent, you do transfer. And don't forget, at the end of when you're making any transfer, specifically for transfers, when you're making transfers, you still have to put like a note in that transfer. Like a note, like a description of what the transaction is about. Now, a bank understands, oh, this is how much you make, your spending habits, your buying habits, how much you make at the end of the day. They get these details, put them together, and then when they notice that there's something out of context here. Let's say all of a sudden, you that used to maybe at the end of the month, the amount of money you get is 100K at the end of the month. For a period of time, it has been happening like that. Let's say you change job, of course. You change job, eventually you're earning like 300, but it has been consistent over time. They notice the difference. That's one. That's banks who knows what they are doing. Anyways, they notice the difference, and now you've been earning that much for a period of time. Eventually, you buy stuffs 20K, you buy stuffs 30K. But on one particular occasion, you decide to just clear the account, or somebody, usually when people harass people and they try to say, guy, transfer the money in your account, or they want to scam you and all of that, they will notice and they will notice that there's a problem here. This person has not been, as if they have the systems put in place for over the period of time, this person has not been doing this much of a transaction, or doing this value of transaction for a while. The bank is actually supposed to the bank is actually supposed to have like a check, another step of verification in place to be sure that maybe there's something that pulls a call through to you and tells you, we understand you are a customer and this is how much you've been doing over time based on how their machine learning system have learned over time on your data that is with them. put a call through to you and tell you what's happening. Are you the one actually making this transaction? To be sure that things are safe, to be sure that this person is not being defrauded, or this is not an unauthorized person that is actually trying to clear this person's account. Do you understand? So different ways in fraud detection, even in anti-money laundering, like the example of the rent money that I gave. The example of rent money that I gave. Right? Banks will also help you understand how much you spend, your location, buying, and then send a trigger that says that, in fact, that even blocks transactions. Put a threshold in it. In fact, these banks knew what they were doing, right? This thing should be in place. And these are some of the things we could help them build, even if they don't have some of this in place. Like put a security check at the end of every transaction, or before a transaction eventually goes through. Put a security check that allows the system, that alerts whoever, the owner of the account, alerts the bank and the owner of the account to be sure that this person is actually the person performing this transaction. Okay. Well, that's all I have for today. I have a question for you guys. And my question is, what would you do for the banks, for the exercise, for the financial institutions? How will you help them with data science, AI, anyone? It doesn't have to be a question to be answered right now. But think about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah? Oh, okay, so I was saying that if you don't have questions, I have one question for everyone. Yes, if you have questions.
Okay, you mentioned something around digitizing paper documents as it relates to data, for finance. I'm now going to ask, is that not a form of electronic document management?
It is.
So how does it relate to data science and machine learning?
So, digitizing the paper documents, we have, like I said, paper documents exist everywhere. Yeah. If you are opening an account today, if you want to patronize the bank for a specific service, right? You want to patronize the bank for a specific service, they will still give you a paper form to fill. Yeah. Do you understand? Now, instead of them, at the end of the paper form, you feel there are spaces. An example could be like, okay, who is you supply who is your guarantor. That's one of, like, an example of a detail they could collect, right? Okay. Who is your guarantor? That's an example. They collect several other details about you, but they are all in paper documents. Yeah. Now, it's at the point where maybe something happens and they need to verify your guarantor. Usually they will go back to that paper document. Do you understand? They'll go back to that paper document. Let's say now, you've patronized the bank for this specific service, like ATM. You've patronized the bank. You used to have a savings account. Now you want a current account with the same bank. That's that. Then you have savings and current. You have ATM. You want to now patronize the bank for, let's say, an investment service. Do you understand? They'll collect another paper document. Do you understand? These are different paper documents. At the point where they are now searching for information about you. Do you get? Let's say they are not searching for a guarantor, information about you on who is one of the guarantors you've provided in any of the services you applied for. Now they will have to go through each of those documents, the paper document. Which now, if they need to do that for you, they need to do that for her, they need to do that for everybody. It becomes a longer process. Do you understand? The only thing they are searching for about you is guarantor. Then they will have to go through cabinets and files and files.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is this. Fine, you're putting the paper, you're digitizing it, you're making it digital form.
Yeah. You're digitizing it to make it easier for them to search for information, specific information.
Specific information, yes. But the process itself is a form of electronic document management. Like if I'm going to explain, there's a particular machine, you scan the paper, it goes into a particular.
So we have OCR systems.
Yes.
That fix OCR system. In fact, Google Lens. If there's Google has an app called Google Lens. Okay. All you have to do, if you have a paper, right? In fact, you can just place the camera on that paper. It captures the character. Okay. It captures everything in that. In fact, sometimes people suggest, you can even use it to you can even use it to make further searches. Just one of the words in that character has been captured by Google Lens.
Okay.
Do you understand? Those are systems. That's what Google Lens has made possible. But then the banks could as well leverage something like that. Those are systems that we can use for the banks.
So the negotiable part is where you come in as like data science comes in, right?
I think like basically yeah, like that period you deal with the bank, you have data. The data you have with them is what you do.
So it's like apart from now, like an example that I mentioned is guarantor. There are different scenarios that the bank may be looking for. So there's different scenarios that the bank may be, or different data points that the bank may be looking to get about you. Not just searching for your guarantor. Different things. Do you understand? Based on what the bank wants to perform, they could say, okay, let's see this guy's data that we have about this guy. The fact that they've captured it and digitized that process, they can now get insights about you. Do you understand? That's where data science comes in.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I get that. I get that. Thanks.
Any question?
I want to explain how machine learning helps in defrauding, because I work in a financial institution. Here a guy, I don't know how he did it, he's very smart and he was able to defraud 3 financial organizations. So he entered, I don't know how he's a very young boy. He was able to hack everything, go into the system without working in anywhere. Because normally people that work, salary earners. So he was able to hack the system, was able to do a lot of things without the system even knowing they're very good. The tech people, they are very good. I was able to hack into it and defraud.
Is it the banks? Is it the banks?
No, it's a loan company.
Yeah?
A loan company.
A loan company.
But about 2 or 3 loan companies before them.
Okay.
And they couldn't tell. It took a long time before they were able to detect that he was not even working to start. He was even a student.
So you see when I mentioned
So you already defrauded them already before they were able to know.
They
And it took a while before they were able to tell that
okay, so
something went wrong.
So you see at the example I gave about my colleague who first he had to fill this form, alright? To fill this form and put in how much. That's specifically to run money. Do you understand? Yeah. Those MFIs or those loan companies that you mentioned, they can have their own data they are looking for, the kind of data they want to collect about each person that comes to their. To some people, your salary may not be important, but for rent money is important. Do you understand? So now, first, rent money wants to see that you are working. That's why they ask for your salary. And how much do you make? Do you understand? How much do you make? Yeah.
He created a bank account.
Okay.
Money was going out, and as if he was working, he had house help, he did everything.
Okay.
Like as if he's working. He went to the bank and they checked him about a year, and he's been for over a year. To make sure their account money was going and going out at the same time. So they couldn't detect that it wasn't even working, not for even getting an account, and money was going out. Because I have to monitor those things.
Okay, so when it comes to getting meaningful data points that can help the machine learning system that you build in place, it depends on, like I said, it depends on what you are collecting. Now, for that scenario, the guy probably he already knows that these people, they will always request for my statement of account. Do you understand? He got them on that part very right. Now there are other data points, there are other kind of data that the loan companies could get about this person. For example, on social media. Do you understand? It's possible that somehow the guy would have mentioned something that first does not justify the integrity of that person. Do you understand? Those are data points, right? Communication data as well, right? Communication, like so a couple of loan or financial loan credit companies, they monitor the kind of SMS you receive. Do you understand? This gives them insight into who this person is. Forget about the fact that this person already has bank statement. That's not just that. Now they've taken it a step further. They are not only dealing with your transactional details, because they know that you can form all of that. In fact, when people want to travel out these days, they just go and get this lump sum of money and print a statement of account. It happens. That's just one point, one aspect, one data point they can get. That's transactional details. Now those institutions could take it a step further and now like check or gather information about your kind of person on your social media accounts. Do you understand? That would have helped them like put another level of profiling to be sure that okay, this person is a person of integrity, or see one way or the other, try to see what this person.
So I'm not trying to have the issue with what you say.
Okay.
But this particular person is very smart. He had all this about. He had the website, had the only unit. So I'm not trying to, I'm not saying I'm not trying to defraud. So it doesn't have to be what the person knows, what the company has as a policy. So it has to do with the person. The person knows what he's looking out for. It's good that he built a company website. Like it was so real that nobody could tell.
So the thing is,
I'm not really arguing with what you're saying.
okay,
Just
I understand what you're saying, but then again, you know, these days when you get an alert for a job interview, what do people do these days? Usually people go online to search what has people said about this company. Is this company actually genuine? That's a way for people to understand the sentiment around that company. That's an exact. It's not just limited to. I understand that the guy is super smart and is actually meaning to defraud that company. He's meaning to, but then the company too can stay. It is their own money. They have to do everything that it takes to protect themselves from this kind of people because they know that there are people who would go the extra mile to actually defraud you. But then at that point, you have to make sure your own security too is on ground. You have to make sure that you go out of the norms to be sure to find information about this person, right? That person cannot be too smart to not have made mistake anywhere. Even that company, like you said, he has an online company, he has a website and all of that. Even that company, it is possible that there are things that have been said about that company or that individual. That's why I talked about analyzing social media. It would have been possible that at some point they will get information or get insight about that company or about that individual. That people have said something that there's this particular phone number or that belongs to so X, Y, and Z. This person, you understand that these days that when things when maybe they'll say there's a particular phone number now that is calling people to do, it's a fraudulent account. That is an insight, that is a data point that the company would have gone out of the norm to gather. Do you understand? Because it is the company's money, they have to do go extra mile to be sure that they're not only getting your transactional details. Yes, you have a website, fine. What have people said about this website? That's where gathering insight about your social media activities or general web crawling to find where your company has been mentioned and what has been said about it. That's sentiment analysis. They would have performed and try to understand, okay, yes, this person has this transactional details, but then these are the other things that have been said about this person, or these are the other things that have been said about this person's company. Definitely, one person, like you said, he has defrauded one company, he has defrauded another person. It would have been possible that the first company defrauded would post it somewhere, maybe on their social media or anywhere. Somebody somewhere would have mentioned that there's this person or there's this company that has been going about defrauding people. Do you understand? And their system would have picked that and profiled this person and know that this person, yes, he has defrauded this person, because they did their own due diligence to put their systems in place. They would have been able to prevent all of that. But then again, I get the fact that the guy is super smart, he actually wants to defraud them. But there's now up to the company to put security measures in place to be sure that they don't get defrauded in the whole process of trying to do their own businesses.
Any more questions?
Sorry, can I just okay, so quickly, I think she's giving you an idea for free. Which, since you're in the finance space, and the challenge is that finance companies don't do enough due diligence in context of sentiment analysis. So you can take this free idea and take it to your company, and voila.
Anybody?
Because of your presentation, you mentioned chatbots as one of the ways to keep all these steps in those banks. So I would like to ask, how effective and safe is this chatbot? And again, am I not sharing my data and information with another third organization like Facebook or WhatsApp instead of the normal banks I want to use like Leo now, the UBA Leo. Am I not sharing the information, my personal information with another organization?
Yeah, those are good. That's a very good concern. But then again, chatbots do not need to only exist on Facebook. You can build a bot that exists on the bank's website. Like for example, Kudi.ai. They used to, when they started their bots, you can transact, you can send money to someone, you can buy airtime from the Kudi.ai Facebook bots. But then they moved from Facebook to having their own bot on their website. Today, if you visit Kudi.ai, you can do the same thing you have done on the Facebook bot right from the Kudi.ai bot. So my point is, it doesn't have to live on Facebook so that you don't share your data with Facebook. You can build the bot strictly for the bank. The bank knows where to host it, wherever they want to host it. So it's strictly for the bank. So the data does not have to be shared with any other person.
Any question?
You said something about credit score earlier. And I want to ask y'all, I don't know if they do, but do most banks or financial institutions have like a credit score where it's like universal within Nigeria? Right, because in most countries, I guess developed countries, credit score is like their life. Everything depends on credit score. So that guy did it 3 times. So let's say the first time he did it, he's owing, let's say, ₦1 million. That should automatically go on his credit score. Now the next bank want to loan other money, right? So I think credit score, like, if we have a universal credit score, it's really help
In fact, there are organizations, like I said, outside Nigeria.
Right, Equifax.
Yes. Those kind of organizations, their focus area is credit scoring generally. In fact, those organizations, that's one of the things, that's an idea that one of us here can even work on. Something that those organizations, what they do is they focus on credit, getting data from different points. All they have to do is maybe like build like a set of APIs that the banks or a financial institution can use. Then what they now do is get those information about you. Then they go out of their own way as well, like get social media information, like I said, perform sentiment analysis. And then the focus of those kind of organizations is credit scoring, strictly providing credit score for MFIs. Now they have those information, they have their model in place. Any financial institution like those ones I talked about could have just gone to that company. We want to know what what's the score, like what's the credit score of this person, what's the trustworthiness of this person. Now that's a company that would have just provided that specific service to those financial institutions. But in Nigeria here, there are not a lot of them. I know there's the credit bureau, kind of, there's a credit bureau, but then I really don't know what they do. I really don't know how they, yeah?
They do the scoring, they do the collection.
We at the bank, they are completely lost. That is why we are more worried because we can't hear.
Alright. Did you get his question?
No. You can also try to, you can also move
Alright. So his question is, okay, in fact, you mentioned what systems are in place in Nigeria to ensure that people like there's a universal credit scoring system in place that can help like those financial institutions that lady mentioned about all they would have just done is gone to that company or gone to that credit scoring company to find out about that individual. That would have helped that because of mitigate that fraudulent transaction. But then I mentioned that although we have the credit bureau of Nigeria, I really don't know what this is. I really don't know if they provide all of that service. But then that's a challenge for us as well.
Sorry, excuse me. I think in defense of the credit bureau,
Okay.
I just want to take a sample statistics. Because business is basically about needs. How many people are taking credit here? If you've ever taken credit from, not individuals, from financial institutions, just one person, 2, perhaps 3, and I think we're over how many people here? Okay, so in other words, if I'm a business person, credit scoring business is not a good business per se. So in other words, perhaps in the next 5-10 years, we might have more people that would have taken credit from financial institutions. As you know, it's still a neophyte growing business venture. And so you cannot use credit rating at this point in Nigeria as a basis for determining this kind of things. But I think it's a good business venture.
You don't have to wait for that to be like people want to get, people want to collect loan. You get, but like if that system is in place.
But look, do you know what? And most people that want to collect loan are first-time collectors of loans. So perhaps when you start having people collect loan more often, then you can say it is a viable venture for someone to venture in as a business to start.
But then again,
It's a skin and hair situation. If the banks don't allow this person to collect loan, then how will he get loan and he start lending?
I think sentiment analysis is still the best approach for now.
so, yes.
And then in the future, we can.
Like you said, most people are saying that don't say that. I am making the barrier to entry very high. I'm making it super competitive. People get loans. How will they come next time? If they don't even get it first, they ask for it. That's why we actually have people. People prefer to go to their friends and ask for it. Yeah, just go with it. That's what we do today here in this. Because that is usually when you want to take a loan from a bank, they will tell you need to provide this asset, provide a house. Where do I get the house or a land from? You understand? So it's already difficult for people to get access to those things. But then again, there are other data points that have been used to like judge this person and say that this person will be able to repay this loan. And it makes the barrier to taking the loan even a bit, but then it doesn't mean that you have to drop your guard. You still have to put your guard, like raise your guard kind of.
I know it's about money, like everybody knows, like she's still around, like you can meet her. Okay, last question.
I was just going to chime in on what he said. I think credit is more of a trust thing. It's like trust is earned. So for instance, I'm a first time owner, right? So I go into a bank and I want to loan $1 million, right? So if I don't return that money back on the first time trust basis, it ruins everything else, right? So if I go to the next bank, they're not going to give me a bank account. I'm speaking of like most other countries, right? So I think credit is mostly a trust thing. Like, be careful how you play with your credit score. So it goes from like 400 to 800. If you like at a 400 basis, you can't get nothing. You can't get a loan for a car. You can't get a loan for a house. So once you go into that credit thing, you have to be careful in messing things up.
But then to wrap up, as to their own defense, I would say that you don't have how we Nigerians are. Not everyone wants to like that. But then some people, they're looking for this every slightest opportunity to even dupe you or get a little stuff. You give them 1K, they won't even return it. So it starts from ourselves as well. If you're taking money from a friend, family, ensure you repay back so that